Welcome to round 3 of the NRL, brought to you by footytips.com.au. Brett, we kick it off this week, the Sea Eagles and the Bulldogs at Brookvale Oval.
Yeah, Sam, it's a great clash, and obviously Des Hasler against his old club. This rivalry has been created, but only for the last few years. You know, obviously since Des has gone to the Bulldogs, arch rivals, some great victories, and they both like to out-muscle each other. That's the best part about this competition. Brookvale Oval, you'd imagine Fortress Brookvale will be back. Obviously a great win by Manly last week. A bit of spirit, a bit of guts. Daly Evans was outstanding last week. Just a standout performer at home. We know you're going to get that every week. For the Dogs, they got a victory against Parramatta. They were really gutsy, I thought. They showed some good signs. They're tough, their physicality. And I just think Manly a bit under strength without Kieran Foran. And I think the Dogs will just get home in this one.
Following that, we're up to Suncorp Stadium for the Broncos and the Cowboys. Broncos bounced back from that ordinary first-up showing against the Bunnies with that win over the Sharks, while the Cowboys, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Bad start. You'd expect to win your home games, and especially having 2 home games in North Queensland, the heat at the start of the year, that was going to be 2 or 4 points they've given away the Cowboys. They're playing extremely poor, actually. Newcastle were really good last week. There was some improvement from the Cowboys, but they need to improve a long, long way. Where the Broncos, they got a win, but they still played ugly. They were extremely poor. The forwards were a bit better. Anthony Milford, there was a bit of a better sign. I just thought Ben Hunt was the star for the Broncos. Just steered them around, had enough composure to beat a very poor Cronulla football side. Cowboys need to win. They must get up here.
What did you make of comments about Jonathan Thurston being a target in attack?
Yeah, I'm obviously as a guy who took the ball to the line and kicked. I definitely do not like when they dive at your leg. I definitely do not like when they tackle you high. It's the only rule in the game where you can tackle someone that doesn't have the football. The kicker is unprotected. The kicker generally goes to the line and he's on one leg planted. It is an unfair decision to say tackle him. It's a free shot on the kicker, but it also makes the kicker a bit wary that how far is he going to go to the line and how willing is he to get tackled.
Saturday afternoon, Warriors and Eels over there at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland. The Warriors, that good win down in Canberra after a shaky first-up start.
Yeah, that's right. The forward, to be presented this forward pack of the Warriors, they've got the physicality of the whole team. Parramatta are going to have to outmuscle that, and that's how Parramatta have been playing this year. Watmow brings them that belief. I think they might struggle a little bit, Parramatta, with the outside backs, the player changes, the disruptions. That's probably where they are a little bit weak in being the key players. Obviously, great forward pack with Watmow there now leading the way. The Warriors were good last week in patches, but they'd still have that I don't care attitude. They got to a lead. They ran the ball several times on tackle 5. Sean Johnson's been extremely quiet the first 2 weeks. He's in doubt for this game. I think they'll get home, the Warriors, just on the back of the physicality and the fact that Parramatta have just got some outside backs missing, but they need to win. They need to win all the Warriors.
Raiders and Dragons down there, GIO Stadium in Canberra. It's a place the Dragons absolutely hate to go. They've had 2 losses. Are they any chance?
Well, they've got to turn it around soon. Now, obviously, the players took some responsibility in Monday night's loss. They tried to change how they play. They tried to fix it, but they failed. The players failed themselves. It wasn't the coach, it was the players failed. So now all the form in the Dragons goes back onto the players. How well do they turn it around and how well do they go in Canberra? They broke the hoodoo last year. Thankfully, that's not a 12-year hoodoo or whatever it was previously. So they broke that. The Raiders' attack isn't kicking in yet. They're not going great, but they've bought some better players. Solio's going good. Frank Paul, Nuasala, just toughens them up in the middle. Jack Whiten's out, which probably hurts him a bit in the attack status, but I think Jordan Rapana's quite a good player, returns the ball quite aggressively. So it'll be a low-scoring affair. I don't think there'll be many points scored, and I think the Raiders will win just being at home.
Storm and Sharks down at Amy Park in Melbourne. Storm, a little better last week, and while the Sharks, they're winless as well.
Yeah, that's right. None from 2, Cronulla. All happy sides and everything else in order. There's still that Ben Barber issue. There's still pressure there on Ben Barber. They're going to change, they believe, how they're going to play. They're going to make it more structured. We're going to get Ben more hands on ball. Don't know if that's the right answer. I don't know if that's how he would like to play the football game. That's trying to get him in the game. If I get a Melbourne Storm who have played extremely poor last week against Manly, with a Craig Bellamy that's probably a little bit upset and cranky, then I'm thinking for the Sharks it's going to be a very hard outing at Amy Park. Melbourne to respond, Melbourne to get back in the winner's circle.
Rabbitohs and Tigers, 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon out at ANZ. That was quite a game out at ANZ against the Roosters last week. Rabbitohs will start favourites again here.
They will start favourites, yeah, and they're the benchmark. It was a wonderful game of football. I know there was a lot of points scored, but that's because they're the best attacking sides in the competition. And I think the new rule interpretation about dummy halves running means the NRL want more tries. The NRL want more free-flowing football. We got it last Sunday. Day games are great. This will be another day game at ANZ Stadium. Top of the table clash. Tigers and the Rabbitohs, both undefeated sides. Tigers are defending a lot better this year. Obviously with Jason Taylor, new coach, building more pressure. James Tedesco was a star from last week. South Sydney are tough. They're physical. It's a great test. I'm going to say the Tigers in a surprise.
Titans and Knights up there at Seabus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast, 6:30 p.m. Sunday night. Titans winless in 2 and coming off that 40-0 flogging out there in Bathurst.
Yeah, they were pretty poor. They were extremely poor. They had some chances in the first half, but when adversity went against the Titans, they just seemed to throw it in. It's like backs against the wall. They're really under pressure now. They do get the benefit of getting 3 of the 5 suspended players back. That's the only 3 that Neil Henry has picked. That'll give them a bit of confidence boost, but I think they struggle in the halves. I just think they're lacking some direction. Physicality will improve with Greg Bird back, and an angry probably Greg Bird, Dave Taylor, absolutely. Former Newcastle Knights junior, so he'll have something to improve. Newcastle have won 2 from 2 on guts and character. They haven't been pretty. They've got great outside backs. I just think Newcastle will be too classy.
Rick Stone doing a good job there, obviously coming back after Wayne Bennett left.
I think Rick Stone's doing a good job. They're tough, they're courageous, they're gritty, they're just grinding out a win. I think the 2 centres for Newcastle are in really good form, and they could probably just have too many points for them.
Dane Gagai a smoky for Origin this year?
He should be, yeah. You know, obviously Brent Tate's gone. We need to find a centre or a winger for Queensland. Will Chambers was already in the side, so there's obviously one position taken. So they've got a big fight on their hands, Newcastle, to keep him. I know Brisbane and Wayne are trying to get him back up there. You know, Leilua and Gagai strike centres of the competition. You need to have good centres. The more open-flowing football it is, strike power on the edge, they're both going great.
We wrap up round 3, the Roosters and Panthers out at Allianz Stadium at Moore Park there, 7 o'clock Monday night football. Our 2 teams travelling pretty well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, both teams are going great. It's going to be an attacking style of football. You know, Penrith are a bit unconventional how they play. There's not much of a game plan or structure to them, similar to the Roosters, the Dogs and the Rabbitohs. But what they do is they allow them to play football. They ask a lot of questions. They execute some plays. Matt Moylan last week was a star. Matt Moylan is a star of the future. We already know that. He'll probably be the Origin fullback. Just every time he touches the ball, there's class. There's something around him. Jamie Soward's out for about 4 or 6 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see who manages the game plan, because I think his kicking game is really, really important to how they build some pressure. Roosters off a loss last week. You know, they'll be a little bit upset with that. I thought they played good in patches. Expect the Roosters to get this one, but in a close one.
That's round 3. Brett, just going through your tips again.
Yeah, let's go with the Bulldogs, the Cowboys, the Warriors at home, the Raiders at home. Storm to bounce back after a bad loss last week. Tigers in an upset. Knights away, and finally the Roosters at Allianz Stadium on Monday night.
That's round 3. Should be another beauty.